Hey, how's it going, everybody? The show you're about to watch is with Justin Whitfield, the co-owner and operator of the Wildcatter Saloon in Katy, Texas. Justin is the only person to have appeared on the show Bar Rescue 2 separate times and successfully turn around both establishments. During the pandemic, when so many schools were closing their events to all the students, Justin opened up the Wildcatter to the seniors so they could hold their proms, allowing them to continue the traditions that so many generations prior to them had been able to enjoy. If you guys like what I'm doing here, please subscribe to the show. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Turn on the notifications so that when I post new content or go live, you'll immediately be notified. I hope you enjoy the show. And as always, I will talk to you very, very soon. Man, Justin Whitfield, man, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on the show. Yeah. Man, so okay, we're sitting here in your office upstairs here at the Wildcatter Saloon. Like this stuff's pretty cool, right? So big thing. I've been here probably about a half dozen times to y'all's location here. Y'all are like becoming widely known for big concerts, big time entertainment out here. Like, how did you build it up? How did you get it going? Because you guys took it from here and then boom, you guys are like a premier sound location here in Houston.
Well, thank you. Man, it's been a lot of hard work. How far back do you want me to go?
Well, you were on Bar Rescue, right?
Well, yeah. I found this bar because my last bar was on Bar Rescue, and of course I wanted to see, because when they came to town, they did multiple bars, so I wanted to come see the other bar, and I fell in love with this place. And I didn't know anything about the park with the big stage. I didn't know anything about the second building that has a whole nother private bar. I didn't know about the green room, which is like an apartment.
Yeah.
You know, all I knew about was the main bar, and I loved it that much then. So,
was it originally kind of in this area? Was it a biker bar kind of thing, or biker bar?
So the history behind this bar is this building has been here over 40 years, and it started off as a paint and body shop, and it was way out in the boonies, and because everything's grown so fast around it, it still looks like it's in the boonies, but it's really not. We're in the middle of everything in Katy now, but it was a paint and body shop, and then I was told at night it was a chop shop. A few people said that. So it was always a little sketchy out here, I guess. And then in the early 80s, it became I want to say, an ice house. And this upstairs where we're in right now was a brothel.
Oh, what, really?
Yeah, it was an actual brothel.
Oh, wow.
And there was a secret way to get up here. I don't know. And this was the early 80s. And then that was when it was sold soon thereafter that, and then it became Bryant's Ice House, I want to say, and it was a biker bar.
Yeah.
And the last guy who owned it, he was on the episode of Bar Rescue, and the show Bar Rescue scared a lot of the bikers off. So it kind of quit being a biker bar at that point. And when he renovated this office up here, this is only about, I've had the bar 5 years, so I'd say about 10 years ago, he renovated this upstairs office, and he had to pull out 5 mattresses.
Oh my God.
So the story has to be true.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, so I started coming out here. I've got a good friend of mine, Dustin Garcia, introduced me to the place out here. Apparently, you guys met at some concert or something, some point. He's obsessed with music and live music, and he introduced me to you. We came out here and we started coming to concerts out here probably about 3 years ago. And then he and I actually came out here to the last show you guys had just before the shutdown of the pandemic.
So it makes a lot.
Yeah. We came out here. We had tickets and everything. We bought them online. It was a blast. It was a good time. Because we had come to Danny Warsnop before that.
Yeah.
And then, right after, I guess, right as things were kind of reopening up, you had the Velcro Pygmies, I think is the name of the band that was out there, and they were a blast. But you guys went for a couple months, almost a year, right, without being able to have concerts and all that stuff here. What did the pandemic do to you guys here?
Well, it allowed me to have a lot of free time to really upgrade the place. I totally did a lot of renovations on the place, but it was very boring. I remember sitting out here for months. I'd be working for hours all day by myself, fixing the place up, and I'd just think, man, it's like I have a Ferrari, but I don't have the keys to it. I can't go nowhere with it, you know?
Yeah.
That's how I felt about the bar, you know? I have this beautiful bar, this cool layout, and I can't do nothing with it. And it made you realize how unfree we kind of are in this world. That's, you know, it's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
So I started paying a lot of attention to world events after that point, you know? How can you not?
So I had about a week ago had Henry Walker on. Henry Walker is the owner of a place in Spring Woodlands area called Legacy Barbell. And right as the pandemic was hitting, he was opening a brand new like 40,000 square foot gym.
Ouch.
And they come in, they try to tell him he's got to close and everything. And in the very beginning, he did. He shut down 2 weeks. He said, I'm going to try to do this. But after like 3 weeks, he's like, what the fuck? He's like, what am I doing here? He's like, I literally run a place that is putting people back in health. Like, and you want us to shut down. And so he ended up going back and forth with the city, the state. Fox News had come out there. There had been some like American freedom fighters or something like that wanted to come guard his store so he could stay open. Did you ever consider that? Did you ever consider saying, man, fuck these people. I'm going to reopen. I've got to be back in business.
So when you're dealing with CABC, it's a whole other issue. You don't want to get on their bad side. And even though I thought it was a bunch of BS, I played by the rules, but I had other ways to, you know, give my middle finger to the system.
Yeah.
I woke up one morning and
make sure the microphone here. I don't know if
I woke up one morning and saw that all these proms were being canceled for all the local high schools. So my way of saying F you to the system was I offered free proms. So we did a half a dozen free proms here. It was, you know, nobody said anything to me. The schools, they weren't sanctioned by the schools. It was always a few parents that got together. And, you know, nobody got sick, but half a dozen schools got their proms.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I mean, like one of the coolest things about doing something like that, I guess, is that's really community based like operation right there.
Yeah.
Like you're doing something to help the community rather than just saying, hey, I'm here for a profit. Of course, we run businesses. You want to make money, but when you have an opportunity like that to give back, and then at the same time, you probably made some pretty good friends out of all that stuff.
You know, it definitely didn't hurt. You know what's funny? The story out of the Fort Bend Herald headlined student prom starts something about a COVID outbreak. And that story went viral. I'm talking People Magazine ran with it, ABC, CBS, Houston Crown, everyone. They didn't name my bar, though. But the story's about me throwing a prom. But if you read the story said they attended a prom, and then they went to a beach house in Galveston where 300 of them were packed in the beach house, and most likely got it from there. But the headline read, "Prom leads to all these kids getting sick."
Yeah.
So stuff like that made me go, wow, it's to experience fake news firsthand like that was crazy. But luckily they didn't, I didn't get any bad backlash from it.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of parents have come back and booked the private bar and stuff. And so it's, it definitely got to do a lot for the community if you can. And with such a unique property here,
yeah,
I do a lot. I've got a benefit for veterans coming up in July. Trapped headlining that one.
Oh, nice.
So it's just a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's, one of the things that I personally dig about your place here is that you do have a lot of rock music.
Yeah.
You can go a lot of places in the city, want to get electric music, you want to play some, rap music, stuff like that. But really the only other place to like get some good rock music is you got to go like far down south. You got to get south of the city, like Scout Bar or something like that. Like you have great rock music up here, and it's a great location, great environment, and everything. Like, is that intentional? Is that because that's music you like, or is it just like you guys are kind of connected in that way?
it's music I like.
Yeah.
So what I listen to is what I try to put in concerts here.
Mm-hmm.
So I like hip hop. So you'll see a hip hop concert every once in a while. I got some Mix-a-Lot coming back.
Yeah.
June 18th, I believe. And but mostly I like rock and country. So right now, we're actually doing a lot more country than anything. We got some really big concerts coming out right now, country. My biggest concerts here have all been country. I've had some big rock ones, though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I
we
mean,
do love our rock concerts.
Puddle of Mud,
Fuel.
Yeah, Fuel.
Um,
Saliva.
Marshall Tugger Band, Saliva, Saving Abel, Danny Worsnop, of course. Goodness, there's so many.
I missed the Tommy Vex concert. How was that?
Oh, yeah. You know, as much as I agree with a lot of what he has to say, he should keep the politics a little on the down low when he does a concert, because people want to have a good time.
Yeah.
You know, and then Struggle Jennings came with him the last time. He's a star on the rise.
Yeah.
Struggle Jennings. Definitely, you can tell when people come to a concert how excited they are to see that artist. You know.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about him.
Yeah, he sat at the bar after the show and tipped the bartenders $500 too.
That's awesome.
So you don't get that often.
No. Well, I had about a month ago. I had a guy named Shane Vitko on the show, and he was out here. I guess met you at some point. Him and Tommy had started a podcast out in LA called Deviant Gentleman Podcast, and Tommy still stayed out there, maintained his kind of presence in LA, and then Shane moved here, so he actually lives up in Montgomery now, and even when he came on, and he'd only been out here one time, he was just raving about this place out here, and the way that you were with him and opened everybody up, and the staff and everything else. When you come in here, I mean, you got a lot of people that come into a bar that are opening up, you know, places like this. Like, how do you go about deciding? Well, I mean, obviously you got to have TABC licenses for, you know, bartenders and stuff like that. But do you look for a particular kind of person, a kind of personality when you're staffing it?
We actually do. This is my second bar that I've owned, and I've always said, even when I had the first bar, I had it for 12 years, I said, this is my learner bar. I'm going to learn from my mistakes from this bar. My next bar, I'll fix those problems. And one of the issues that I learned was you just can't hire anyone just based on any superficial trait. You have to really interview them, talk to them, see what kind of energy they bring. And for me, it's very big on energy. If you're a negative person, if you drag energy from people, I don't want you here. Because if you add enough positive people together with good energy, you're always going to have a good time. You're always going to have an upbeat atmosphere. And that's basically what my specialty is, creating an atmosphere. You know, when I hear people like Danny Worsnop tell me, you've got the atmosphere down, that means a lot to me, because that's really what I go for.
He's been all over the world, so he's
been to thousands of places. I mean, I got him on video saying this was his favorite stop on the tour.
Yeah.
You know, that was cool. I got Aaron Lewis on video saying this place is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
Well, like when you start having the bands and stuff like here, we know that's like TABC and every other organization out there. Once you start doing something, there's always somebody there kind of with their hand out. You start bringing in the music, the acts, things like that. Obviously, you guys are probably reaching out to some of these people and saying, hey, your venue's available. Do you have to go through and deal with like licensing and paying, some of these licensing organizations for stuff, or is that pretty much up to the band, the musician, that they have to deal with that on their end?
You pay. There's so many different ones out there, but you're paying. If they're playing original music, you're paying the band. You don't have to pay any licensing for that.
Yeah.
If you don't cover stuff, yeah.
So like Velcro Pygmies came in, they're singing almost exclusively cover stuff. Mm-hmm. You guys have to. Does the bar?
Does, yeah.
Okay, so you guys have to kick in on some kind of like licensing and stuff like that. There's always somebody out there with their hand out, man.
It sucks. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them too.
Really?
You think there's only one or two? No, there's a handful at least.
And is it like the Sonys, the EMIs, and stuff like that, or is this?
I don't know about Sony, but it's like, yeah, it's just there's so many of them.
Yeah.
They'll have different names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, when you guys have a big concert out here, it's not like I mean, you guys. It's a big venue. You guys sell tickets ahead of time because you obviously don't want to overbook the place or make it to where it's uncomfortable. That's something I noticed. You know, most places they'll go obviously for fire occupancy. They'll just cram as many people in here. Even when you guys had sold out the shows, like you were still comfortable here. There's still room to move around and everything.
We learned our mistakes from the first show. We had Whiskey Myers here, and talk about luck of the draw. We booked them at a date where it was after they appeared on Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And all their albums from their catalog went 1, 2, and 5 on the country charts all at one time. So they blew up, and then they played here.
Wow.
So it was our first show. It was our biggest show to this date, and we didn't know what to expect. We sold the show out at 2,300 people, but I had made a mistake. Instead of doing the gate at the bridge, because you have to cross a bridge in order to get to the park for the concert, it's literally got a moat around it, you know? So there's no sneaking in. The bridge is the only way into the park. And instead of putting the gate at the bridge, we moved it down the road where there's a fork in the road as you come to the bar. Little did we know there was going to be so many people coming that there were cars parking on the street down the road, and then they were walking across the field to the bridge, and where they were getting into the park for free because we didn't realize they could do that.
Yeah.
It was our first show. And the only reason why I found out was someone tagged on Facebook about winning when you go to a sold-out show for free.
Oh, yeah.
And I realized that's what happened. All the cars were parking down the road and walking behind us across the field and into the. So we had about 3,000 people here.
Oh, wow.
So I know for a fact we can hold 3,000 people. I just don't want to get that busy again.
Yeah.
So we always top it out at 2,500 in the big part.
Yeah.
You know.
We just had the rodeo here in Houston. Obviously, like you said, you guys are doing a lot of country music, stuff like that. Were you guys able to grab an artist that was playing at the rodeo or anything like that, or kind of maybe make some connections on that end?
No, if they're playing in the rodeo, they're not going to play somewhere too close around anytime soon because the rodeo's so big.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you can snag an artist from one of the smaller cook-off tents or whatnot. But literally, we work with a company called Filthy Nasty Productions. They're kind of like a smaller Live Nation, and they found us through one of my promoters, John Janash. And so basically, he had asked me earlier how we built it up. We had the place, we had a vision. It's not something we planned to have, but I started looking because I had booked from my last bar 12 years of local bands. So I started networking, hitting people up. And I had a couple of guys that used to play in bands, Fred Williams and Angel Perez. They both suggested me talk to a guy named John Janash. And John came out here, helped us with Whiskey Myers, and saw the potential in the place. And we worked together, attracted the bigger company in Filthy Nasty. And now we're working with them, and they're bringing us the big shows. They're the ones, really big shows. We've got right now Eli Young, Randy Rogers Band, Aaron Watson, Randy Hauser. I got a couple of big names we're working on too, I can't say. So, but the market out here is rock and country, but really the country concerts is what brings them the most.
Do you notice, are you guys starting to attract more people from like the Houston area? I mean, you're in Katy, but it's like a suburb of Houston.
I've met people from all over. Like Puddle of Mudd was supposed to be in concert last year, and the dude literally was at the airport. His whole band flew in. This is Wes from Puddle of Mudd. Get that straight so people know who I'm talking about.
Wes Scanlon, yeah.
Wes Scanlon, who's notorious for doing this. His flight was delayed. His other people in the band from other parts of the nation flew in, landed. We picked them up. The sound, everything was being worked on. Dozens of people, multiple hours, to get everything ready. And at this point, I've invested probably almost $10,000 in everything. He doesn't want to wait at the airport for his flight, so he just pulls a no-show. And then we find out literally an hour or two before gates were to open. I was so mad.
Jesus.
So, yeah.
And how do you recoup stuff like that? I mean, can you?
Well, we had to pay for everything. Luckily for us, the locals went on with the show, and we were able to retain over about 500 people easily. Thank God. Now, I wouldn't have spent that kind of money for 500 people to show up, but because they stayed and drank, I was able to pay for everything that night and actually make a little bit of a profit. But the opportunity cost of what I should have made, and all that money invested in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't do that again.
So so as the venue, you guys become responsible for a lot of the sound, or do a lot of these acts bring a lot of their own stuff?
Sometimes you even have to take care of the back line, which is the equipment, because it just depends if they'll hit us up, and it's cheaper if we're en route on their tour. But if we specifically go out and try to reach out and get someone, they got to fly in. It obviously costs more.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So if you got somebody that say is doing a gig in San Antonio, and they might happen to be going to like Lake Charles or something like that, they're coming right by you guys, and they can just drop all their stuff here and do it. If not, you guys have to like. Did you decide to go out and buy a whole bunch of music equipment so you have it here, or do you guys go rent that kind of stuff?
We have a few companies we work with, 2 specifically, 3, and it just depends on the one company gets the really big shows, the other one gets the secondary shows, and the other one gets the smaller shows. I have 3 stages.
Yeah.
So I have the inside, which is if I do a concert up to about 150 people, I'll do it inside.
It's pretty much below where we're sitting right now. Yeah.
And if I have a concert that's up to about 500 people, I'll do it on stage 2. And if I have a show that's 400 to 500 plus, it'll go to the park, which is an acre and a half with an island bar, and it's pretty cool.
It's like a mini look. I mean, I've been out there, so it's kind of like a mini Woodlands Pavilion kind of feel to it.
Yeah, a little more on the redneck side. It is what it is, rusted.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're not gonna have Woodlands. Of course, they're gonna be a little more snobby about everything.
Yeah.
I think you come out here, people are wanting to enjoy the music rather than all the other nonsense.
Yeah, you're not gonna have the high excessive prices of the Woodlands, and definitely, the caliber of talent we get obviously can't play at the Woodlands because it's so big.
Yeah.
But there's always a market for everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm in that market of up to 2,500 people.
Well, but that's the thing. Like I said earlier, the bands that you're getting. I mean, I remember I saw Trapped and Puddle of Mud in the Woodlands back in the early 90s or the mid 90s. I watched them out there. They went to Buzz Fest, things like that. So you guys, I mean, you're hitting a market where, I mean, guys, look, I turned 40 in 2 weeks. There's a million people just like me in this city that grew up on that kind of music, and you're bringing them here, and it's the only place they can find them.
And what's cool is it's more up close and personal. Sometimes the artists, they'll come out and meet the people. That was really cool when they do that. Sometimes they'll, but regardless, it's way more intimate. There's a better chance of the artist actually looking at you in the eye at this place than if you're at the Woodlands, obviously.
Yeah, like when Danny Worsnop was here, we were outside. You gave us a table probably like a little bit back so we could see it, but I was able to go up to the stage and shake his hand and everything.
What stage was it? 1, 2, or 3?
2 outside over here.
Right here? Okay.
Yeah.
Danny's the first artist to play all 3 stages.
Really? Now, did he do the solo, his solo act on the park himself? Or?
Well, his first one, it was funny how I got him because a customer actually came to me and said, "Look, Danny's doing a special concert on his tour, and I want to get a place to put him on while he's here and sell tickets." I said, "Sure." I didn't know who Danny Worsnop was. But I looked him up, and his band has like 5 million followers. So I'm like, well, this guy's got to be good at what he does.
Yeah.
So long story short, he ended up doing this the first time. It was cold, and I put him on the big stage, and we probably had 250 people out there in the cold watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a really good live performer.
Well, you had fire barrels out there?
Pits,
yeah.
Everything. Yeah. I try to make it different. It's a whole. Once again, I like to create an atmosphere.
Yeah.
So if it's cold outside, you might have a personal fireplace beside you.
That's exactly what you did.
Like
I mean, you came out and I remember watching you the entire time. You were running around loading fire into people's little bins and everything so they could sit there and stay warm. I mean, that says a lot about what you got going on here.
I had one concert where we had Liliac, and they're an all-family, younger heavy metal band that was on a reality show. And a father drove all the way down here from Dallas with his daughter, and it was just him and her. So I'm thinking single dad, got the daughter for the weekend or something, and he really wanted to show her a good time.
Yeah.
So I made it a point, and I remember throughout the day, I came up to him later, I grabbed him. Not only that, I put him in the owner's box, first of all. So he's right there at the front of the stage with his daughter. And then when they were walking towards the dressing room, and they were isolated away from everyone, I brought them over there to have a little meet and greet by themselves. The daughter loved it. And I did it's just fun, you know. This dad probably never has a special day with his daughter like that very often, because, you know, his daughter had a blast, and that's what he wanted.
And you just did that. You just did that because
It's
it
fun,
just
'cause
happened to
you
be a
can.
guy.
Because you can. Help the guy out, man.
Yeah.
You know, I have 2 daughters. I would love someone to help my date with my daughters be a little bit better. You know?
Yeah. Man, that's cool. I haven't heard of anything like too crazy out here. Have you had any concerts kind of go wrong?
No. You know, I pride myself in 5 years, I've literally had no fights here. Maybe a couple, and they were nothing to them.
Yeah.
I get a mature audience out here, people with better jobs on average, and they don't want to cause problems. And I'm usually dead by 12:30 at night. I'm not, you know, until 2 a.m. because people aren't used to staying up.
Yeah.
That come here. They're a little bit, you know, like I said, I say the median age is late 30s.
Yeah.
You know? But when I do a concert, it's different depending who I bring. I avoid certain things like I had Insane Clown Posse want to book here. We said nope. Then they came back a few weeks later. They wanted to work just for the gate, so I had nothing to involve, and they would even pay for sound. I said nope.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what to expect from my ICP concert, but from what I heard, it's too much work for me to have to deal with. They came back a third time and tried to just rent the whole venue out and do their own private party concert. I still said no. And it's nothing against them. I actually have a couple songs I like by them.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, we're very pro cops here at Wildcatter and stuff like that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to have a band like that come here that's made a very loud position against police officers, against U.S. military, stuff like that, and then expect to go very well.
Yep. A few days ago, we were supposed to have Ginger here, and they're Ukrainian, so you know what happened there.
Yeah.
Concert got canceled because of Russia.
Yeah.
So.
You know, you don't think about a lot of that stuff. You know, when you think about a place like this, everybody says, "Oh man, it's great. It's a party all the time." And I mean, it's a real business. I mean,
it's a lot of work. You know, but I literally love my job. Even when I'm off on Monday and Tuesdays, I'll wake up, I have a routine. Me and my wife will go work out at the gym. Then after that, she'll go do her thing, and I'll come to the bar. And I usually either build something, or I paint something, or I stain something, or I clean something, or I cut something. I do something, and it just keeps me busy, you know?
Yeah.
And when it's concert time, I spend the whole week getting ready for the concert, you know, as far as I'll cut the grass, I'll blow all the leaves and trash away, fix anything I need to, get the fire pit ready, and then the day of the show, obviously, you got to get everything set up, which is a lot of gates, a lot of chairs, some tables, not a whole lot of tables, depending on the concert. But it's fun. It's a process.
A lot of moving parts, though.
Oh, it's a lot.
So I live up in Tomball, and right around the corner from me, they opened a place called Paradigm Brewing. Guy I went to school with was one of the brewers over at Karbach, and now he's the brewer over there. That's a brand new company. They started up and everything. And last weekend, for example, was the first weekend they'd ever done crawfish. And like, hey, you've got a restaurant, you got a bar, stuff like that, maybe indoor, outdoor. Like, that's one thing. All of a sudden, you start they threw in this one other element. And of course, sales went through the roof. But the next, I mean, it was like 40 more problems that were popping up. You made the decision really to have food trucks here. Was that solely because you didn't want the headache of the kitchen? And
solely because of that.
Yeah.
Just going to Pasadena once a year to get your license for the food truck, that was enough to make me not want to do it ever again. Not to mention, you got to clean the grease traps constantly. You got to take it down to a dumping station to dump the gray water, which is so stupid.
Yeah.
Just one thing after another. And I don't like, my last bar had a kitchen, and I had a really good guy running it, so I was used to never having to deal with it.
Yeah.
But here is a whole nother story. So I prefer the rotating food trucks.
Yeah.
I don't make the money from the food, but that's okay, because I'm a bar. I'm gonna make my money from alcohol.
Well, that's up in Tomball. The mayor of Tomball, Gretchen, and her husband own a place called 403 Eats, which is a food truck park, and they own the bar and then the land, and they just lease the spaces out to the food trucks, and it keeps the rotating foods different, and people can come for different experiences all the time.
Yeah.
Have you had requests from anybody to bring back a specific one here?
I do sometimes, but the food trucks, I have about 3 or 4 that I rotate, so they come back. They know the people know the trucks are going to come back.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll pull in new ones, depending how big the event is.
Yeah.
Well,
what's the biggest show you got coming up?
So Eli Young Friday, we expect over 1,000 people.
Oof.
The ticket sales suggest that as well. Then after that's Aaron Watson. It's right on par with the same. And then after that's Randy Rogers' band, May 13th, I believe. That one we're expecting to be bigger than the other 2. And so we've got this. I expect this to be my busiest year for sure.
Good.
And I set 5 record months in a row after we reopened from COVID. So business has been good. But yeah, with these big concerts, it's just it's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, man, I got to tell you, man. Like I said, I started coming out here probably 2 years after you bought the place, and I'd seen pictures from the very beginning and everything you've done even since in the last couple of years, man. What I love about your place, I'll tell you, is the fact that anywhere I go, people know the Wildcatter. I got friends that are all over the city, and they've all come out here and they've all said great things about your environment. So, man, thank you for what you do on that end, because that speaks volumes to how you are as a business owner, as a bar owner, operator, treating people. If they remember it in that way, and I've never heard a single person that say anything bad about it, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
I remember why I brought up the Puddle of Mud story now. You're asking me about people that come here, and I brought up the Puddle of Mud because during that concert, I felt so bad. I had a couple that flew down here from Massachusetts for that concert, and he pulled a no-show, and it's like, man, they couldn't be mad at me, but I meant it amazes me the people that fly in for concerts, And I always think to myself, if you can actually travel just for a concert, your outlook on life has to be positive.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, music makes you happy. And if you're willing to travel far and wide just for a show, you're a happy person.
Well, yeah, I think music transcends more than all languages. People, from a very young age, you're going to remember songs that your parents were listening to, 40 years ago, and you can sing them to this day. And you can't. It's
soundtrack to our lives.
Yeah,
and, it's so true.
Yeah, people think about it, it's like even the birds outside chirping. They're singing a song. That's music out there. And the hum of the cars. I was listening to something yesterday. It was Billie Eilish's brother. So her and her brother are the ones that create the music, and he
creates it. She sings.
Yeah, right there. Yes. So he was on Jimmy Fallon. And he played this track, and it was just this melodic sound. It's like do 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 do, and he's like, that's the sound when you're in Australia when you walk up to a street to a crosswalk, you push the button to cross. I guess maybe for like blind people or something like that, visually impaired, and it's just this sound. And he says that's the sound that's the backtrack to Bad Guy, is the sound from a crosswalk thing. It's just it's just this melodic sound. And when you think about that, you think about all the different music and the sound in our world and how it all ties everything together. It creates this connection amongst all of us. And that's, like I said, that's a big part of what you're doing out here, man. You're spreading, it's like love you're spreading out there far and wide.
Yeah. I never would have thought I'd have the ability to have a place like this, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
This place, when I sold my last bar, I told myself I was done with the bar business. But I had a list of requirements. If I ever found a bar, you know, I wanted a list of things that happened. And the list was like, I didn't want to be open 7 days a week like my last bar. I wanted 2 days off at least. I wanted to be by water, but I mean, I am by water. I'm actually, the water runs right through the middle of the property.
Yeah, you got a moat.
Bayou, yeah, I got a moat. I wanted to have a music venue, but I never thought I could afford the square footage of a building for something like that. But I never thought about open space like this, you know. I wanted just so many. There's a few other things that I wanted, and like the day I was coming out here I had my first bar up for sale. The day I was coming out here to sign the paperwork and buy this bar, I had been talking to the owner for over a month at this point, working out the deal. The time had come. So I'm driving out here. I own the other bar. It's for sale, but no one's bought it yet. And as I'm driving out here, I get a phone call. And the guy who bought my bar called me right then and said, I want to buy your bar. He had been looking at it for a while. So I said, that's great. I'm thinking, well, what a perfect time. When do you want to do it? He goes, right now. Where are you at? So I had him meet me here at Wildcatter, and I bought this bar and sold that bar at the same time. If that's not fate, I don't know what is, you know?
Yeah, you can't put anything more than that's meant to happen.
Yeah,
that's
you can't time that.
wow.
So, yeah.
That's a hell of a story.
Crazy.
Well, man, Justin, I really appreciate you taking the time, man, to speak with me, man. Like I said, what you do here is great. Like I said, it's one thing when you own a business and bars and people have experiences and stuff like that. I've never heard a bad thing about the Wildcatter out here. So
that's awesome.
What you do, man, is awesome, man. I really appreciate it. I think it's great. I'm being from the community, being out here, stuff like that. I think it's awesome. You're adding to the element out here and making something more. It's not just our standard, you know, farming and ranching kind of stuff out here, man. So, man, but thank you, Justin. I appreciate you coming on my show.
Amen. Thank you.
All right. See you later.